Alright, so before I let you off to watch this debate, a few important bits, bit of context. First off, I'm Dune. You'll probably know that from the, channel whole thing. But the thing is that I've been waiting to do this debate for about 2 years now, back in 2018. And the time hasn't been kind to me. I get that. Regardless, what ended up happening was he asked me to join in, and then he wasn't ready for another 14 minutes. So, me being me, I was very polite and didn't talk and anything like that, but I'm not going to subject you to 14 minutes of just dead air. So, I've snipped that out. I'm also going to snip out a few bits that I don't want heard because it was I muted myself and all that. Regardless, you're gonna hear most of what I've actually said, and also you're going to hear. You can just go to Jay's to hear what I've actually said in full context with full thing and all of that juicy stuff. Link in the description below if you want to. I hope you enjoy.
Okay, ready to go?
I've been ready. I've got myself a cuppa. I've got
Okay.
myself.
Let's get started before it gets too late.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're here to debate about the importance of exclusivity and why it's all right for companies that fund projects by companies that own these studios should be entitled to keep their own games. They shouldn't have to give them away. Uh, Basically, a fan base that doesn't exist. I understand when games go to another platform and they do better on multiple platforms than if they did on one platform. But there's sometimes a game is on one platform, it does very well. The game gets re-released on another platform, it doesn't do well, and it doesn't even equal to the amount of sales that it originally got as an exclusive, which I've saw many times this gen. Again, I talk about this generation because last gen nobody cared that game consoles had exclusives. There was no chatter, there was no talk. Again, a lot of you guys were younger 7 years ago, so a lot of you guys I would have never talked to, I would have never saw. But I say around 2015 to 2016, there are a lot of different factions in the YouTube gaming community and the Twitter gaming came at came out at me and came at me about being anti-consumer, anti-gamer, and this is hopefully gonna be a great debate, so I can understand again why is it so bad now when it's always happened. Um, Exclusives have been around forever when it comes to gaming, and as far as any other aspect of business, you need that to drive sales. Nobody's going to look in your direction if you look exactly like everybody else. Um, that's why I have my own style. So, uh, questions? Anything you want to start?
Yeah, I'll make my argument now. So, when we're talking about exclusives, we have to talk about the console itself, specifically because that's what the exclusives are trying to sell. We can both agree to this?
Yeah.
So, with economics, you have a specific concept known as marginal utility. This is the subjective value the consumer themselves has over a specific product. So think of it very much like value. So a console has a specific amount of value on its own. How companies like Nintendo and Sony and the like see with those, the base hardware does not typically end up equaling the usual price they have, especially at launch, which is why they have exclusives to build up that marginal utility. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
That is both a lazy and a stopgap for that specific industry type. When it comes to exclusivity, what it does is it artificially increases the marginal utility of an otherwise less value specific device. So if your phone, for example, had it so that it was the only thing that can run a specific app, the hardware in that phone could get worsened, making it cheaper for the company, but allowing it to have that same value as before. This would be a detriment to all gamers, and that's my argument against exclusivity. It's only meant as a stopgap, not as a permanent solution.
20, 25 years of exclusivity. I wouldn't call that a stopgap. I'm pretty sure the PlayStation brand has been around longer than you've been alive. Um, and it's almost been around longer than I've been. So I started gaming with Nintendo when I've realized I was gaming at the age of 8 in 1997. Before that, before 1997, I've had interactions with the NES as well as the original gray, big bulky Game Boy.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to tell people 97 because I give them the respect when I open my eyes and I understand how much I love gaming. But I've had interactions with gaming way before that. And every device that I remember playing, which was a Nintendo device, um, it always had a game that nobody else had. Now, if you look at emulators, there's a way after the game has originally came out to get them on your platform of choice if it's a PC. But for the most part,
Or you can jailbreak your
Nintendo's,
console to get the old exclusives, stuff like that.
yeah, I don't do all of that. I'm a console gamer. I don't really deal with the tech side of jailbreaking, pirating, all of that stuff. But that's
Mm-hmm.
you. But as far as the way that the consoles are, the way they're sold on the Switch, you're getting Pokemon. You're getting Zelda. You're getting Mario. You've always got those games. There's no stopgap to it. Nintendo has not produced those games anywhere else. They're not going to do that. It will be the death of that company, literally. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Without exclusive selling their hardware, they're not going to be around at all.
Of
It would end
course,
up being
but
like Sega. So it's weird that, again, you already know my background and many others do.
mm-hmm.
Um, Being a Nintendo fan first and a PlayStation fan second, it doesn't seem like Nintendo had that problem as far as PlayStation because they were new. When Nintendo was going into their third system, which was the 64, PlayStation was just coming out with the PlayStation. So a lot of the deals they made were timed exclusives. We just didn't know them yet. You know, those deals were made with third party developers that they did not acquire, such as a game like Tekken. All of those Tekken games up until 5, I believe, were exclusive to PlayStation systems, even the ones on the PSP and I think might have been one or so on the Vita. I don't know. They were exclusive. Then they went multiplat. They went on PC. They went on Xbox. I think there was one on a Wii U. Long story short, that's expected. There's a rumor going around with visuals saying that the Switch is getting a version of Street Fighter V. The game was already released on PC the same day. These are things I expect to happen. Crash Bandicoot, knowing the history that Universal Studios worked with Sony to get that character to be created as a way to combat Sega with Sonic and Nintendo with Mario. They needed their own character. They needed to have their own identity, their furry type of character family friendly, cool character. That family friendly, cool character for PlayStation was a big partnership with Universal Studios and Naughty Dog and themselves to create Crash Bandicoot. Now, after the three games and the two spin offs, I believe that Naughty Dog said they didn't want to do any more with that. They went on to make Jack. They did three games with that, and I think a racing game, which was a spinoff. They didn't want to do more to that. They went to Uncharted. After three, they started working on The Last of Us. As you already know, they continue to move and move and move. The difference is they were built in house by, funded by Sony. The big difference with Crash Bandicoot, it was not that. Now, growing up, I didn't know any of this information until I became an adult of what happened and why the game was exclusive and why it just recently went multiply when the PS2 came out. Nobody knew, that many people had hands owning that IP, and eventually it ended up in the hands of Activision. So, yeah, long story short, exclusives have been around for a very, very long time. It's not a stopgap. They're not going away. Now, the types of exclusives will definitely go away. I don't expect to see any more third-party exclusives, and I don't want to see any. I will agree with the PC community, yourself included, that I don't think Sony should make any timed exclusivity deals. If those games are going to come out on multiple platforms, they should come out on multiple platforms day and date. I want everybody, including the third-party developers attempting to make these exclusive contracts, to understand where their fan base is. They might end up finding out that people just buy their games more on PlayStation, but they should find that out equally.
All right,
I
so
don't want that. I don't want any more exclusives with those guys.
that's perfectly fine and all that. The point of me using the word stopgap there wasn't as me saying specifically that exclusives as a concept is only meant to stop some sort of. I'm not even sure what you were trying to say they were trying to stop. Regardless,
I don't think exclusivities, when it comes to a company like Sony, a company like Nintendo, the studios that they, have acquired, the studios that they own, I don't believe they're magically gonna tell these guys, let's take a chance on a fan base that might not actually exist. To take
okay.
that big of a gamble
So can I
is
make my
something
point?
that a company like those two can't do. Third party developers, they can take that gamble. It might not pay off, and they might have to resort to making games exclusive again. Same thing happened with Neo. Neo, as you remember, it was an 8-month exclusive on PlayStation 4. It ended up going to PC with the complete edition for $50. You guys didn't support that version, so they made Neo 2 another timed exclusive. Will they put it on the PC? Probably later on, but I was expecting Neo 2 to be day and date with the PC. But due to the fact that there was no support, I don't see a reason why they should.
Okay, so Jay, you don't mind me calling you Jay, do you?
Yeah, I don't care.
Alright, so Jay, you misunderstood what I meant by stopgap. I was meaning that it was specifically a increase in value for a temporary boost in sales. Think of it like this. The PlayStation has, say, $250 worth of value in its hardware alone. Let's just go off that. Day and day, it's sold for $450. Who would buy that?
Hold on. It sold for $400.
I'm going off rough numbers in my head. I'm just
Okay,
giving a
rough numbers
hypothetical.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Rough numbers are wrong.
I was going off a hypothetical, Jay, not not a specific thing.
Let's just call it what it is. I deal in facts here, not hypotheticals.
Alright,
The system
so
sold $400 equally around the world.
let's go with it has $250 worth of value in its hardware and it sold for $400. Where does that $150 come from? From the consumer's point of view.
No clue because I'm not thinking that far ahead. I apologize, but this debate is about gamers and games. This is not a business class, so I'm not gonna be able to follow you where you're about to. I just want to
I'm
let you know before you go wherever you're about to go.
I'm just explaining the economics of it. I'm just trying to
Again,
move.
I think we've talked about this on Discord. You're going into a debate with me as a gamer. I don't care about the business side. I care about where gamers buy their games and where we've always bought our games. We know what to
Then,
expect from a
Jay,
brand new
may I
console.
ask you something? Why did you go into the IP, the intellectual property law, the stuff about how it changed hands? That's not something a gamer would care about. They care about what's on what
Does
system and
it
why it's
does
on that
because
system.
guess what? Gamers go where the game is.
Then
Now, listen,
what?
if you got a PlayStation 1 and you saw Crash Bandicoot there, and then after 3 main games, 2 spin-offs, you saw the Crash Bandicoot on the very next gaming console, which was the PS2, was not only on the PS2, it was also on the Xbox and GameCube. Again, your mind will be going a little bit crazy. Well, I don't have to buy it on PS2. What's the point of even
There
buying it? It's not special anymore.
there is
So again, you could go and buy Xbox. You could go and get a GameCube. You wouldn't have to stay on PlayStation. You
except
could go
there is a
wherever you wanted to buy that game.
there is a big difference between that situation, Jay. Specifically in the fact that you use the PS2 as an example. For the PS2 era, the thing that gave it the most marginal utility was the fact that it had a DVD player built into it. So people everywhere was able to see that, oh, it's a DVD player and it's a gaming system? Oh, I'll just get that for little Timmy and he'll be able to watch his movies and his things. What Sony did there was it added an actual useful feature towards the actual population it was trying to give. Things like VR, for example, uses its technology to create new experiences for the player. It's trying to increase its marginal utility without resorting to forcing exclusives by making it so that those games can only be played there. The difference between the two, however, because I know you're going to go with the whole, well, VR has exclusive titles such as Half-Life Alyx. The difference between that and the flat screen equivalent is that VR is its own space, it's its own technology, and adapting the two games wouldn't really work in that sort of situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wasn't gonna go there. What I wanted to say is you skipped the gen. If you remember correctly, PS1 started the trend with different things inside of a gaming console, except for gaming. You know, like PS1 had CDs. You could put your CD in there and you could listen to your music. PS2 followed up with that. They
Yep.
had DVD. PS3 followed up with that. They had Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
PS5, it's gonna have 4K Blu-ray. Again, you know what you're getting if you've been a PlayStation fan from the beginning. If you've been, if you've had focus on PlayStation and gaming since the beginning, you would understand that Sony was going to push the bar. You're not going into the PS2 from the PS1 just because it has a DVD player. No, you're going there because of the games. Again, we're talking about gamers, not consumers. We're talking about gamers, not moms, uncles, dads going out to buy a console for a game for a kid that never played the PlayStation 1. We're talking about gamers that moved from the PS1 to the PS2 that played Crash Bandicoot 1, 2 and 3 and was ready for the follow-up. Again, you're debating a gamer, not a fucking business major. We left PlayStation 1 to advance to the PS2 because of the games that we expected to get. Now, when the games we expected to get that were not found on the Sega Genesis or the Sega CD, they were not found on the Super NES or the N64, but later on the next generation of each one of those platforms, Crash Bandicoot was on another platform. It did devalue the system with that one game in mind. But did it make up for it? Yes, because the makers of Crash Bandicoot that weren't making Crash Bandicoot anymore, they came out with a new game, Jack and Daxter 1, 2, and 3, and Jack X. So again, you might have not knew Naughty Dog, if you weren't smart enough, but you understood where they were going. That they were still going to give you quality games from that studio that nobody else could play. So yeah, Crash Bandicoot might have went multiplat, but Naughty Dog presented the gamers with a new experience from the same minds that gave you Crash Bandicoot. Gamers continue with the PS2. It was the most sold gaming console because of the amount of games. A lot of third-party games that are now multiplat, they started on a PS2. They got their name recognized on a PS2. Grand Theft Auto 3, for example. I believe Grand Theft Auto 3 was on PC, but when it first started out, it was on PS2 before it went to Xbox. I don't think it ever went to a Nintendo system. And the popularity of Grand Theft really just shot off. Being a three-dimensional game at that point in time and being on a PS2 first, that was a huge thing for gamers. You see what I'm saying? We don't care about the value later on. That's for people that didn't buy the system at day one. Of course the system's going to get cheap. You can buy a PS4 right now for under $150 if you're looking at the right place. We don't really care about that. Why? Because I got my PS4 in 2013, and then I got my Pro in 2016, I believe. I'm ready to go to the PS5 day one. Whatever it costs, that's where I'm going. Why? Because I know where the games are. I know what to expect. I don't care about the business side of it.
I feel like you misunderstood me. I'm not speaking of the business side. I'm speaking from the economic side. There's a very clear difference.
I don't care about the economics or the business. I'm a gamer.
Let me explain.
I'm buying a system to play video. Okay, but let me help you understand. Do you understand I'm buying these consoles to play the games? Not because of its value, not because it does this or that. I am buying these gaming consoles to play the video games that I grew up playing, or the studios that I now know and have a relationship with some of these developers that I know by name. I'm buying a new system for games. I don't care about the economics or the business side. That I'm just letting you know so you don't get off the topic again. I'm not buying it for economic. I'm not buying it for business. I'm buying it for games. That's it. I'm a gamer. I play video games.
Are you done with your little rant?
I'm not done with the rant. I just want you to understand what's going on. So are you going to go back to economics? Because we can end the debate off of that. Because that's not where we're supposed to be going. We're supposed to be talking about games. Where do gamers go to play these games? Mario, Nintendo, Halo used to be only on Xbox. Now it's on PC. PlayStation. What does PlayStation have? Oh, my fucking controller's in my hand. Oh, PlayStation, Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted 4, Infamous, Bloodborne, Ratchet and Clank, Little Big Planet, Dreams, Knack, Wipeout, Last of Us, The Order, Killzone. I mean, Shadow of Colossus, Days Gone. I mean, I deleted a couple of the other ones, but you know what PlayStation stands for. It used to stand for Kingdom Hearts, but now Kingdom Hearts is, of course, multiplat. That was about roughly under 20 years ago, where if you looked at Kingdom Hearts, you know what system to buy it for. There was only one system you could play Kingdom Hearts on. So again, gamers go where the games are. Gamers are not caring about the economics or how it's going to be worth something or the technology inside of it. They're going where the games are. They buy these systems for the games. You can ask anybody in the comment section that's not a PC fan. Gamers are really going to buy these systems for the games.
Jay, may I make my point now?
Yes.
When I started gaming, I think it was off a friend's NES, I believe. I can't remember back then. Memory problems goes back years, but every point in my life, I've had either a controller or a keyboard and mouse or whatever. I have watched less than 10 movies in my life. I have only ever read to learn stuff like textbooks and the like. I only really play games. The marginal utility of a console, for me, is just what I can play and what sort of settings it plays it at. What sort of graphical fidelity it plays, stuff like that. You can understand that point of view, correct?
Sure.
When we're speaking of the importance of exclusivity, we must also take into account hardware exclusivity. You can understand that sort of thing as well, right?
I completely disagree. Because
What?
if we were talking about hardware, right? That, the game is made for, but it could be optimized for PC with no problem. Then all games will be on PC, no problem. They're already being developed using a PC, so why not put them on PC?
That's
Again,
not necessarily the same way it can work. For example, if the controller layout you had specifically made was something that would be more ergonomic or provide a better experience than otherwise, and it doesn't, and if it's made in house with your own intellectual property, that would provide a better value than any exclusive game that could have been ported over, because it would use a specific technology that you specifically have and provide the user with a greater user experience. Do you understand my point?
yep.
When I speak on exclusives, I look at it from the perspective of the consumer, which in most cases is gamers. But in cases like the PS2, where it gained an extra 68 million units, nearly 100% more than its predecessor, the PS1, with 108.5 million units, that sort of massive growth doesn't happen just because gamers saw the games. That sort of thing happens due to the console's marginal utility gaining beyond its own stature, having better results overall, having better hardware, having specific hardware that you can't get anywhere else or that is cheaper than anywhere else. When that happens, the console itself starts to push boundaries for its own point and make itself its own little market. Consoles themselves are a weird idea, but when you look at the market they try to attain, they typically go for specific people, people who just want to get home, play some games, and then be back into bed and go to work, whatever. What it's trying to do is a very specific market, and because of that, the way that they're doing exclusives now is only meant as a cost cutting feature by making it so that each unit doesn't have to be as powerful. Each unit can have a weaker CPU, integrated graphics, cheaper RAM, have it so that the SSD is baked in, stuff like that. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah, okay. So consoles, as you already know, will always be a cheaper option to gaming if you're comparing it to a gaming PC, right? But that's what they're designed for. They're not supposed to be a replacement for a PC. It doesn't matter how powerful a PS5 or Xbox Series X. You can never go out and buy those consoles and say they're a replacement for the power and the options you will get in a gaming PC. Consoles have always been an affordable option to gaming. Because back in the day when I started gaming, I didn't even know you could play games on PC until the early 2000s when I started playing RuneScape.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
long story short, I understand what you're getting at. Hopefully, you can be a little bit more clear on what you want as a PC gamer or what PC gaming represents. But if you believe the weakness of the systems every generation, and whatever else you don't like about consoles is gonna drive Sony to say, Making consoles every 6 years is not worth it. Let's just be a third party developer and put our games on more consumer friendly product, which is PC gaming. That I don't believe that's gonna happen. Again, Sony and Nintendo are closer together than Microsoft is to the other two. Microsoft has an endless wallet. They lost this generation and they're still bringing out a new console. They brought out the most powerful gaming console in the market right now with the what is it, the Xbox One X, but nobody got it. Again, they're still coming out 2 years later after that with this new, more powerful console that it seems like more people probably will just go towards the PS5. Why? Because they know what to expect, like they always did. They understand what games are going to be only on that platform. Again, some people in the gaming community that I am not, they might be talking about specs. They might not know shit about what they're talking about. I know I don't know shit about these specs. I just know that there's a new PlayStation coming out, and I know there's going to be games that I can only play on. Now, there's a different demographic ever since 2015 on my YouTube channel where I pissed off some PC fans by calling them port beggars 5 years ago. And now they tell me I'm anti gamer and Sony keeping games that they funded, that they created specifically for this hardware. They are also anti consumer because they won't put it on their platform of choice. Now, what if I wasn't a PlayStation fan? What if I resorted back to being a Nintendo fan? And I was mad at Sony because they didn't put Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper, and Jack and Daxter on a Nintendo Switch. Um, it's nothing I can fucking do. Nintendo won't fucking trade Mario, Zelda, and Metroid to PlayStation to get those three games on their platform. You understand what I'm saying? Again,
I
it's
understand, but
different. It's a look. It's the PC gaming market and the console gaming market is completely different. Like if I want to go build a more powerful PC or I want to get a more powerful laptop, two of which options I've been looking at for over the past couple months. It depends on what I feel that I need. It won't be gaming related. It'll be more for streaming and editing, shit like that.
yeah,
So I don't expect to spend more than less than. Well, I'm gonna be spending less than $1,000. That's what I plan on spending.
fuck.
But again, you don't have to go build a gaming PC for an exclusive. You probably can't name many exclusives off the top of your head that have not already been talked about. So you're buying it for the options, for the freedom, modding, specs, frame rates, resolution, shit like that. But you're not buying it for games that are tailor made for that platform that have not already been optimized for consoles or in the works for a console. Because again, that's where the money is. If the money wasn't over here, if gamers wasn't buying it, there would be no point in putting simulator games on PlayStation 4 at the end of the generation. But when I go to the PlayStation store, that's all I see. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Gamers buy games. People that don't really care about gaming, they will build a PC and they might not even touch a game for a couple weeks. But over here, this is a lifestyle. You know, you're not gonna go out and buy a $300 or $400 gaming console just to let that shit collect dust and watch fucking Netflix. I know I'm not. You know.
I had a very different experience to what you just kind of explained. Back in, I think it was back in 2014. I got myself a laptop with like Intel 3000 graphics. It was shit. It was absolute dog shit. But it was only like £100, so it was very cheap. What I did on that was I played Kerbal Space Program. I played a lot of just a lot of games on it, stuff like that, and eventually I just didn't play anything on the PlayStation 4. I think I had a bit down the line. I didn't really play the PlayStation that often. All I did was watch YouTube on it and played on my laptop. that's completely different to what you've just said. So how do you reconcile that sort of thing?
That's who you are. You're a PC gamer. I'm a console gamer. I mean, if you think I'm gonna be able to change your mind, debate, I
I'm
know that's not happening. I don't do debates to change anybody's mind, and it would be weird for anybody to debate me thinking you can change my mind.
No, I'm not.
No,
I'm not here to change your mind. I'm only here to debate our ideas and then have fun because this is actually a lot of fun for me. But the
okay. Look, we're different. Like you
we're
said, you
we're
have
different
fun
people.
doing debates. I would have fun right now watching some anime and maybe playing a Japanese RPG tailor made for consoles. That's just me. We have different ideas of fun, and we have different priorities when it comes to video games. Your priorities are making sure you have the freedom to customize your resolution and frame rates, and the freedom to download whatever mods that are available by your community, which is something I dabbled in two different times, once on PC and a good amount of times on consoles. I even have the records to prove it.
Mm-hmm.
Modding is fun.
Hmm.
You know, I had to go out and buy a PC exclusive because I grew up playing that game, and I had to go back this generation and buy that game two times, by the way, on the PC. Once for my girlfriend at that time, and another time for myself. It was Sims 4. When Sims 4 first came out, it was a PC only exclusive. And I grew up playing Sims. I played Sims on consoles all the time. I
Hmm.
also played Sims on the Game Boy Advance back in the day.
What game was
Um,
the specific exclusive that you had to buy? A
Sims 4,
Sims 4.
when it first came out,
Yeah, yeah.
day one. Yeah, Sims 4 was a PC exclusive when it first came out. I think everybody knows. I had no I had no idea that I should. Hey man, let me fucking wait and see. Now it didn't look like it was gonna get ported, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go get it on PC. I'm
Hmm.
gonna play it on my laptop, and I did. I had a good
Yeah.
amount of fun. I don't think I ever beat it. I don't know how you can beat Sims,
I have
but
no
long
idea
story
about
short,
Sims.
I dabbled in some modding there, and then many years before that, I dabbled in a lot of modding on my PS3.
Hmm.
There was one game with mod support, and that was Unreal Tournament 3, which I downloaded so many mods. Sometimes it would crash my PS3.
Hmm.
But modding is fun. I understand the freedom in it, especially modding on a system that's made for modding, which is the PC. Um, but long story short, I never got Sims 4 again. I did not pay again for play it on console. I was not going to pay full price for it again
Hmm.
on console after I already own the copy on PC. But long story short, you go where the games are. It doesn't really matter. Nintendo. I look over at Nintendo Switch all the time. Every week, I'm probably looking at Nintendo Switch, just really about to break down and spend $300 to buy that system because there are games that I cannot play on my laptop. It is too weak to run that emulator, and I don't want to do that. That's not my style. I like Nintendo enough to give them my money for what they've created.
Hmm.
So I expect to buy a Nintendo Switch for what it is and buy those games, the ones that I love. Uh, Again, two different people. You got bored with consoles, I got bored with PC. Like, but I've dabbled with it many times. For that,
Yeah.
addicted for about 3 years straight to RuneScape. And I just couldn't. Me and my friends were just fucking addicted to that game. It's crazy, man. I get addicted to a lot of MMOs. I mean, I played DC Universe online on a PS3. Continue playing it on a PS4. Final Fantasy 14, played it on PS3. Continue playing it on PS4. MMOs are my weakness. That's why I'm also not on PC because I would not even play most of the games that are coming out on consoles because I would be so up to my neck with MMOs, and it would take over my life.
Yeah, I haven't really seen the MMO scene recently. I might try and get into it. It might be a good. Yeah, ESO is like you pay once and then you get to play forever sort of thing. I might try that.
Fucking bitch. Miss that date. Can I miss that date? 3 o'clock. Yeah, fuck. Just okay, no gaming failure. Yeah,
Sorry.
but so you know, do you think there is any value in putting your whole library of exclusives on people say it's not competitive. I call PC competitive because you're striving to be similar to PC with the power as well as the provided frame rates that you are supposed to have with the PS5. And we're talking about 60 frames. That's the one thing I get bashed on all the time. Because game on a console, I must be playing games at 30 all the time, which is not true. But long story
Yeah, a
short,
fair few of the
you
games
put
are
your
at like
games over,
60.
right? You put like exclusives on PC in 2020,
Mm.
10 to 9 months before you're going to bring out your new hardware. It is going to devalue the hardware it even comes out on the market. If people, which there's been a huge uptake in PC building over the last 5 years, people will obviously build a PC to play those exclusives on the PC. So it is competitive at that point in time. You would steal money from PlayStation selling their new hardware at the end of this year if people found out that their games that they grew up playing, all of their games, will be on two platforms instead of one. There will be no reason to buy a PS4 in 10 months if you could just build a good gaming PC over the course of 10 months. Um, which I would expect a lot of console gamers that work would be able to come up with money to build a good gaming PC over the next 10 months if we find out that games are going to PC. And again, I don't think if Sony does that, I'm just gonna be honest. I would not want them to make gaming consoles anymore, because it's kind of pointless. If your games are gonna be able to be played at a better resolution and frame rate on the PC, it's kind of pointless to come out with a console that nobody's probably gonna buy. It'll probably be their lowest selling gaming console of all time, and and I don't want to see them go out that way. So, um,
The thing is that when we're looking at the systems in question, it's the marginal utility that we're drawing off in our heads to subconsciously see if it's worth it or not. If you can see the console exclusives being on both platforms and then making you think PC's better for this, then that shows that the base platform you're going off is actually doesn't have the marginal utility to be worth its asking price. That's what I meant in the start of this. Because the actual value of the console isn't its asking price, it's an dishonest tactic to try and get your money regardless for that asking price. What they've done is they've increased the price for weaker hardware to make you as the gamer suffer the weaker resolution, the weaker frame rate, and the weaker graphical fidelity for just the games that they have. You understand what I mean? That's why I say they're bad. They're in the way of you getting the platform that would provide you with the best experience possible.
and what platform would that be?
I don't care.
That platform would not be PlayStation. Again, if they wanted to go all out and create a PC, they would create a PC. Consoles are not made to be upgraded. Again, that will make the console cost even more money. I believe that
Uh,
PlayStation did something like that and everybody hated them for it. They brought out the PS3 at $600. They said the real price of that technology, which again, Blu-ray was not in any console or in the homes of Americans at that time, was supposed to be $800. They sold it at $600, and they still hemorrhaged a lot of money, and gamers wasn't ready to spend that much money. So I don't believe that them saying, "Hey, bro, this is the asking price," and it's gonna fucking make them lose a lot of money anyway. But I mean, it's business. I mean, I've been going to McDonald's since I was a kid, right?
yeah.
5 years ago, the French fries were $1. right? Maybe 6 or 7 years ago, it was on the dollar menu for $1, right? You know how
Hmm.
much French fries are costing now?
How much?
$1.87. It might as well be $2.
Yeah, inflation.
So I mean, the value of things go up. That's business, even though they shouldn't. Even though we know the price of French fries fucking 40, 50 years ago at McDonald's probably were like, I don't know, 50 cents, maybe
That
less, maybe
you
30
have to
cents.
take into account that what you're doing is you're attaching it to current values of the dollar rather than the past
Yeah,
value of
but
the dollar.
that's everybody in every aspect of the economy. That's everybody. Whether it's technology or food or clothing, it's everybody. Like literally. I
What?
used to be able to go to the store and buy a shirt for $10. That same shirt, same fucking design is now 15 or $20.
Okay, but Jay,
Like
you've
if you have a
made a
problem with
mistake.
Sony selling their gaming
You
console,
have made a mistake with your analogy there. That is not the same dollar. $1 now does not cost the same as $1 a minute ago. It's like a cent or something like that dear an hour ago or a minute ago. I
I'm
can't
talking about years. I'm not talking about minutes or days. I'm talking about years.
apply that over the course of a year. Apply that the course over 10 years.
Let's get down to it because I don't have a lot of time to spend here for 5 hours to debate you going back and forth with
That's fine.
something I have no clue. So, what should Sony sell the PS5 for with all the text that you know? If you don't know anything about 5, let's go down the line to the PS4. How much should it been cost the first day? Like what should I have charged for the PS 4?
What they should have done is they should have had it so that the console itself provided the marginal utility without having to rely on stopgaps. That's all I've been saying.
What's the explain the stopgaps the PlayStation 4 use?
Anything that artificially increased the value of a console without providing that console the marginal utility it needs.
Okay, so exclusives.
Anything that does not provide it any direct value. It does not.
Okay, do exclusives provide any value for PS4?
Yes, they do. They provide.
Okay, so exclusives should stay.
Exclusives provide. Yes, they should stay, but only for. Okay, give me a second to formulate this in my head because lots of ideas passing by very quickly. I believe that the company should have free reign with whatever properties they own. However, what they're doing is a dishonest tactic here. That's why I'm against buying those consoles and why I'm against going up against those, getting into those ecosystems. All they're doing is they're providing hardware that is not the same. It's not enough marginal utility to provide the actual asking price. Even later into the generation, even used.
So do you have like a price of like how much they should be charging for their console?
I don't. I just have the general understanding of how much value I roughly give it and how much I would be willing to give it. I don't see a console going for that price, so I don't buy it.
That's perfectly all right. I don't think the Switch should be $300. So guess what? I don't buy it. I won't buy it until they have a price cut, even if it's 3 years from now. I don't believe the Switch is worth $300.
That's perfectly fine. But that's when you factor in all of what it does. If we just said every exclusive matters, they should always be on the single console, nothing should give a shit about it, that would end up making us only see the console for the marginal utility of the games, and that's a very, very risky business practice considering. especially with.
Well, it's like I said, it's been there for 25 years for PlayStation, and for Nintendo over 30 years
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they've done this. So you said it's a risky business practice. So why haven't both of these companies gone over, like
Oh,
under,
oh.
man? Over 20 years for
When,
PlayStation,
when I
30
mean
years
it's
for Nintendo, and they're still here. They're still
when
here
I'm
doing the same thing. Why?
when I mean that it's a risky business practice, I mean in current market, in current conditions, simply because things like.
Okay, so it's risky now. Again, I'm just trying to get these patterns right. I found the PC community, modern day PC community, at the edge of 2015 when somebody said they took my videos because they were pissed off about me saying PC portbackers, which I didn't coin the phrase.
I don't
Already.
I
Long
don't give a
story
fuck
short,
about that shit.
so long story short, it happened about 5 years ago that exclusives are anti-consumer, consoles are bad, they should go away.
Eh,
What you're
eh.
saying is whatever you're saying. Most people have said it in many different terms. Uh, but it's happened over the last 5 years. So before 5 years ago, right? It was all right to do this.
No.
Okay, so why didn't I meet people like you, like over 5 years ago? Like I'm trying to figure this out. Even with the PS3, like I was here on YouTube since what 2008. And I'm now finding you guys in 2015 to 2020. Like I'm trying to figure out why hasn't anybody told me, JTech, that exclusives are not good and it's not a good fix for the value or whatever you're trying to say. I'm trying to figure out you or
Well,
people like you. I haven't saw you. Where were you guys? Why didn't you
well,
teach me?
Jay, this field of thought that I'm elaborating off is specifically the not the Keynesian, it was the Austrian School of Economics. It talks about
Okay,
praxeology.
listen.
Let me finish.
Let
Let me
me ask you a
finish.
question. Look. I've told you. I've talked to other people like you, right? And they started spawning off of one individual that took my videos at the edge of 2015 after I said PC fans, no matter how much power or options they have, still have interest in console exclusives, right? That
Mm-hmm.
was my point. 12 months in a year, I talked about 12 exclusives that then were exclusive to the PS4 or PlayStation family, right? So after that, from 2016 to 2020, different individuals, very young, have been coming up to me trying to prove me, hey, this is wrong, do this. And I'm like, bro, I don't even work for these guys. I work in the federal government. I don't even fucking know these guys. All I know is the PlayStation brand, the family of consoles that I've supported since the handheld, right? PSP. And I know how things are for them, and I know how things are for Nintendo, and things have not changed, and it doesn't seem like it will change. Now, Microsoft has always been a software company when it comes to PC. Like, they were bound to go back to you guys anyway. But just because they did that doesn't mean everybody else should. That's all I'm trying to say. Now, again, where were you 5 years ago? Where were you 6 years ago? Like, where were people like you to tell me this was bad? I'm being taken advantage of.
Jay, I come from a school of economics known as the Austrian School of Economics. This
Okay.
mostly got popularized in America roughly when Ludwig von Mises emigrated there roughly, I think. When did he? About 1945.
Okay.
This has always been an unorthodox school of economics. This means that it's not very popular, it's not very much taught in schools, but it's fairly accurate because it's been able to show certain crashes happening, like the Great Depression, as well as the gaming crash that Nintendo gave a boost to. though it wasn't really a gaming crash, it was a console crash because the PC market was actually booming at that time. But regardless, what's most likely happened here is people with the specific arguments I'm given, not like Top Hats and Champagne, I think, or Rags or Them Law. I don't know many of their names off the top of my head. These arguments aren't off them. These are all based off Ludwig von Mises's what was it? Treatise on Economic Thought. I can't remember what his full title was. What's most likely happened here is all of the PC guys have been basing it off them lot. What I've been basing my thoughts and my reasoning and my explanation on is the basic philosophies of them lot. Do you understand why?
So you sound similar to them, but they're ripping off this teaching from the school that you attended.
I don't sound similar to them. My arguments aren't even based in the same area as them.
Well, I mean, it's kind of alluding to exclusives are bad. You should buy a system that allows you to have freedom and for you to upgrade based on the value of whatever it's worth, not on the value of what the company is telling you it's worth. So basically, you're saying Sony is ripping us off, right? They're giving us a weak system that shouldn't be $400. It should be whatever it is, and that exclusives are there to boost the value of the console. But after exclusives, let's say Horizon Zero Dawn has been out for 3-4 years, there's no reason for the game to be exclusive. I don't know. After that, I kind of got lost. But long story short, I don't really see what's so bad about consoles existing, doing the same thing they've done for over 20 years, 25 years with PlayStation. I don't see it. I mean, if it was so bad, Nintendo should have died long ago. Like literally, Nintendo should have died. The GameCube was a bad system. The 64 got shitted on by the PlayStation 1, which was the very, like, I'm being honest, bro. PlayStation 1 was Sony's first attempt, and they wiped the floor with Nintendo that had been around for 2 generations prior. I mean, if everything you're saying is wrong, the gaming crash that happened many, many years ago, it should have occurred again before the Xbox even came out, before the PS3 came out, or after the PS3.
That's
like, I'm trying to figure out where, like,
economics really work. Economics is a
okay. So what you're saying doesn't matter. Is that what you're trying to say?
That's
because if what you're saying doesn't really matter, and there's no gaming crash, and exclusives actually are presenting value, people are going out to buy games because of name recognition. I mean, I don't see a problem.
That's not what I was saying at all. I was saying that. Okay, let me quickly formulate the thoughts in my head quickly. The point was that although there's no gaming crash in the nearby, there is probably going to be one in like 5 or 10 years possibly. But my point is that unless a specific... The way I'm trying to say this is that the marginal utility of a console should reflect its price, not the other way around. What's ended?
You say what was the last thing you said?
What you mean?
Yeah, you said something about marginal utility. What do you say about that? I'm trying to read the comment section.
Yeah. Sorry, I've been mostly focusing on my arguments. My point is that what your console should do should reflect its price, not what the console can do to forcibly increase its price. the console should be just so that you can play your games how you want them, with what sort of settings you want, stuff like that. You should be able to, as a gamer, have the system you want. The company shouldn't be forcing you to choose over IPs it was able to get and stuff like that. I do believe it has the right to do so, and it can do whatever it wants with all of its shit. I just personally believe that with the economics of it, it's not a viable alternative to actually providing the gamers the marginal utility of the actual hardware. If the hardware doesn't reflect the price, then the price is mostly there as just smoking with mirrors.
Okay. And so if you don't pay the price, you don't play the games.
Exactly.
And I'm sorry, I don't really see anything wrong with that. I mean, I can't play Sunset Overdrive if I get a new laptop or build a PC or just go out and buy Xbox. There's no way for me to play that game. So, I mean, besides gaming, there's other people doing similar things. Even if you want to keep it to gaming, that's cool. We can keep it to gaming, but Smash Brothers is, I believe, a monopoly to the. I mean, it has characters that weren't in PlayStation All Stars, like Cloud, but they put Cloud in there to make that game more attractive. But that game's only available on one platform. They put 2 characters from Castlevania, again, very attractive. Not a game that's supposed to be exclusive, but those characters are now exclusive to a fighting game with a different style. Mega Man is, again, not exclusive to Nintendo, but that character, that version of the character, exclusive to that fighting game. Same thing you could say about Sonic or anybody else that's in Smash Brothers that Nintendo doesn't own. Banjo-Kazooie. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I just want you to understand that other people are doing it, and it doesn't seem to hurt them. So why would it hurt Sony if they're the ones that made the most money from this console generation? Like, why would it hurt them now, launching the PS5 that we know is going to be more advanced? We know it's going to do 4K. We know it's going to do more 60 frames per second. I'm not promising every game, but hopefully it does at least 50% more than what it's doing now. Why is it so bad? I understand you don't want to buy consoles. You have your opinions, and that's cool. I mean, you can go the rest of your gaming life without buying a console. I'm pretty sure you're going to be fine. The type of games you want to play are supported on the platform that you want to support. It's the same thing for me. The type of games I want to play are on the platform I plan on supporting this November, as well as this platform I've been supporting for the last 7 years. I just know what to get. I know what to expect. Right now, it's like you're trying to tell me, hey, Sony's doing this to you and they're doing that to you, but it's like, hey, bro, they're giving us what we want. It's nothing we can do to say, hey, Sony, stop charging us this money. See if you can open your platform a little bit so we can customize these frame rates and resolutions the way we want. And then they're going to turn around and say, hey, well, build a PC if you want to do that shit. I mean, I would. I'm going to be honest. If I felt that there was some value in building a PC, not just for the gaming, for my streaming and shit, that my old ass 2013 laptop can't fucking do, I would have spent hundreds of dollars, maybe over $1,000 on upgrading years ago. But my laptop can do what I need to do. It can stream what I need it to stream. I can search what I need to search. I can download what I need to download. It hasn't let me down. No viruses. It's been a faithful laptop, webcam and all. So I don't see a point in spending money on a new technology of a laptop, whether it was made after 2013 or in this year. I just don't see the value in it, me personally. Um,
That's entirely fine. My
exactly. So why is it wrong that people don't want to buy the PS4 for exclusives and people do want to buy a PS4 for exclusive? Why is it wrong? I mean,
my point,
we're all free here in
yes,
the world. You can do whatever you want. Like
and
you don't have to look at a PS4. You don't even have to look at a PS4 exclusive. It's all
I
right.
usually don't. I'm mostly on my computer playing Stellaris or Paladins or what was the other game I usually play? Space Hulk, Deathwing, or D&D, or any number of TTRPGs. The point I'm making is that exclusives are only meant as an artificial increase of value. And that's why it's wrong. It's only there to somehow increase the value of the cost you're doing, and it doesn't make up for that because the specific cost of the game is what eats up that marginal utility. In your head, the way you're factoring it is, this console can play these games, therefore it has this marginal utility. But when you factor in the cost of the games on top of it, you then have to rework that. But your brain won't work. Your brain doesn't do that. Normal brains don't do that. No one does that. That's the reason why it's bad. It's a psychological trick. It's a manipulation. It's not that it's wrong. It's not that it shouldn't be done. I believe it could be done at any point whatsoever. It's a business. It's got to make its money. I'm just saying that it is morally reprehensible and that we should not support such practice. That's how I usually go about it. If you want to do any of that, you're perfectly fine to do that. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to stop anyone for that.
Okay. So who's that? Kuka there and Palakis. Okay. Okay, so what do you think Sony could do to make their system more open or their brand more to more gamers?
The best way, I'd probably think, try to find some part of the market it can. Sorry, I've got phlegm build up. It should probably find some sort of thing to latch onto to provide itself that marginal utility that it actually needs. Stuff like focusing for its PSVR, for example, or trying to find a new way of play and stuff like that. Stuff which will provide it the marginal utility of its actual cost. The way our brains work is weird, but if it can try and find something that can get it over that hump, then it would be perfectly fine by my standards, and I'd probably even buy the PS5. You know what I
So
mean?
again, what else? I'm really confused. I'm not understanding this. What is Sony going to do to make their brand more popular for them to buy, like to have you buy a PS5? Like, what is it going to do to sucker people in that that are not already engaged in the ecosystem or know of the brand or care about the brand or the games you can play on this brand console technology? So like, what would it have to do with the PS5 in order to get somebody like you on board?
To get me on board, what you'd need is something, some experience that is some experience I can't get elsewhere. And that can't be in the form of the games, because to get those games, I would normally pay for those games. I would pay for those games and I get that game. That's the transaction there. If I'm buying a console, I want that console to be able to provide me with a new experience. Something I wouldn't be able to get on PC or on a different console. Something that allows me to play games in a new and an interesting way. Something like VR or portability or fuck knows.
So, not games, but the experience of, and not the experience of a game. You're talking about like the gimmick.
Experience of playing the game should be different to other platforms.
And that's all. Not exclusives. Exclusives out of the question.
Care about exclusives. Exclusives only provide an artificial stopgap.
Okay, but most gamers don't care about the word stopgap, and they don't care. They literally are going out to buy these.
The thing is that marginal utility is something everybody calculates. Everybody uses marginal utility in their calculation.
I know this is not going to sound very smart of me, but I have not both of those words, marginal utility or stopgaps, more in this debate than in my whole entire life.
Marginal utility.
So I'm sorry if I'm gonna tell you that I've talked to real gamers that don't play on PC. No one has used those words. Not even the people that troll me over the last 5 years have used those two words. The PC fans that I've debated up until you have not used those words. So I'm sure those two words are not taken into account when choosing what platform I want to buy this holiday season. It's not.
Okay, can I imagine for a moment you don't know the word emotions? Would you still have emotions?
Yes, bro. I would still have emotions, but I know the word.
Of course. That's the same thing here. This is something subconscious, something you don't realize is going on in your head. As I said at the start of this, marginal utility is the real value of an object subjectively to you. It's value.
Okay, then just say value. Why do you have to say marginal utility? Just say
value.
Temporary value. It's very easy. This is the temporary value of the PS4. Exclusives that loses this value over years after popularity fades, after the hype fades. But you could say that about anything.
Simply because value is an overarching, unspecific term that could mean multiple things.
Well, as a gamer, I see value in this box. This box that I didn't even decorate this generation. The value in the box is that I can play games with the people I've connected with over the last generation, and then I can carry my progress with my trophies. I can play games with these people. That is my value. I am now in this ecosystem that wasn't even much of an ecosystem last generation. The reason why I got the PS3 last gen was not because of any of these people that I've now formed relationships with at the end of last gen and the majority of this gen. I got it because of the games. I saw my brother play certain games on a PS2 when I had a PSP, and I said, I want that. I want to have that joy that every Friday he could go to GameStop and there would be a new PS2 game. Most of the time not available on any other platform. I said I wanted that. I wanted to be so overburdened with games that I didn't know what the fuck to do. I knew PlayStation could give me that. I suffered through 2 droughts with Nintendo. One with the original DS and one with the GameCube. That is not something that I wanted as a gamer. I wanted to have a system that always gave me games. Now I have another system very similar to the PS2 that has so many games that I don't know what to fucking do. Many of them this year got delayed, But long story short, I still have others that I didn't play that I now can download and continue playing. So it's giving me games. That is what I really care about when it comes to PlayStation. It gives me games. I can name all the other games I have folder like Dragon Quest XI, Monster Hunter World, Iceborne, and Monster Hunter World, Kingdom Hearts 3, Persona 5, Neverwinter, that's an MMO, Skyforge, that's also an MMO, Star Ocean, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom. Oh, sorry. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, sorry. Final Fantasy 7 Remaster, Neo, which is multi-plat now, Fighting EX Layer, the King of Fighters 14, Brawlout, Guilty Gear X Third Sign, the Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, J-Star Victory Versus Plus, and then my backlog, which contains indies like, what is it? The Untitled Goose Game, or Abzu, or The Spirit of the North. Like, I'm a gamer. I play all types of games, not just AAA, but smaller games. Okay, that's what I do. I get the system that's gonna have the most games. It doesn't always mean, hey, it's exclusive, but it's gonna give me those games as well as it provides great value to me. So I understand what you're saying. Don't care. Some other gamers might understand what you're saying. Many of them don't. Again, they also won't care. There's nothing you can say in this debate or any other discussion that will stop people and make them think this shit's not worth it right now. Let me wait 8 fucking years to buy it at the end of the next generation and be late. Nobody wants to be late. If they have the money to buy it, they're not going to be late. They're going to make a decision. I know I've heard rumors about Nintendo Switch Pro might come up this year. Who knows when it will. But they're going to make a decision to buy one of the big 3 console makers' consoles. It's either going to be a Nintendo Switch Pro, a PS5, or Xbox Series X. They know where the games are. Now, Xbox is suffering because they have no identity. Halo can be played on PC with mods and untapped frame rates, all that other shit. You don't really need an Xbox to enjoy Halo anymore. You don't need an Xbox to enjoy any game that Microsoft makes anymore. So it's going to be hard for people to even buy that system. Whether you're factoring in marginal utility or not, there is no value at face right there. There is nothing to buy the Xbox for outside of the way the interface looks or some sort of Game Pass exclusivity. If it's exclusive to the console version of the Game Pass, I don't know. But it's really hard to sell the Xbox when you don't have exclusives. I mean, it's a prime example that exclusives actually do work. I mean, would you buy an Xbox if you had a PC that could play every game on Xbox? Would you go out and invest in one?
I feel like you've mixed up. The reason why Xbox failed this generation, I think it's this generation, last I don't know about the generations, they're a pain in the ass.
It's this generation, man. It's still current gen. The PS5 hasn't officially been revealed.
Alright, so what was the Xbox that got revealed when the PS4 was revealed?
It was the Xbox One.
Well, the Xbox Stupid happened whenever it did. It had a horrible DRM, it had a horrible extra thing that drove the price up by $100 or something like that.
Yeah, it had a camera that nobody wanted, and it drove the price up by $100. After a year of failure, they unbundled the system. They took the camera off. They sold it at the same price as the PS4, and they fixed the DRM problem, and then they still didn't sell. Again, I understand the 1 year rough patch, but you got to remember the generation before that, the PS3 came out a year after the 360 that was already cheaper. Tried to sell that console to consumers for $600 with Blu-ray that nobody even knew about, and it still made a comeback. And it was because of the exclusives that it had that nobody else had. The 360 had better features. I could listen to my music easily on the 360. It had a better interface. It had cross game chat, I believe. It had party chat.
It did have cross.
It had a lot of stuff. It had a lot of
Yeah.
stuff that the PS3 just didn't have and never did have. So long story short, the features didn't matter. Coming out cheaper didn't matter. Coming out a year before didn't matter. It was on top of the world, and every developer wanted to develop for the 360 over the PS3. But the last 4 years of the PS3, I believe from 2009 to 2011, 2012, it was unstoppable. It made a comeback that nobody saw happening, and Xbox was so comfortable with what they did with third-party temporary exclusives that they didn't feel that it was a challenge until it was knocking at their door, and it passed them with 87 million copies sold of the PS3 to date, passing the 360. So again, I understand where you're going. Other people have done that too. The launch was bad, had DRM. It was $100 cheaper, but nothing could have stopped you from making a possible comeback. At least you didn't start a year later. Xbox could have made a comeback. Microsoft had the money. They had the connections. There was nothing that told me that they could have not made a comeback. They didn't have to keep failing. They decided to keep failing.
Well, nobody decides to keep on failing.
Well, when you don't invest in acquiring first-party studios until the last 2 years of the generation, you decided to continue to fail, believing third-party contracts was going to be able to win this generation when it didn't do much for you last generation. No, you did decide to fail. You did not evolve. I mean, again, there are people that make Metroid. It's not always a maker, but Metroid will never go to another platform. You had to make 2 studios specifically to make nothing but Gears and another studio to make nothing but Halo. They will never make any other game. They have no freedom to make any other game. Those 2 studios were specifically made to make one game. And now those 2 individual games are available on another platform. It devalues the console and the future console. Now that gamers know you don't need to buy that console to have that feature, to play that game on Game Pass, or to play the game outright. You don't have to buy it, and you don't have to subscribe to Game Pass on Xbox One or Xbox Series X to play Halo or Gears. All you need is a PC, and you don't even need to pay for online. Like, look at how much value it is being an Xbox fan on PC compared to being an Xbox fan on a console. It's night and day. I mean, again, Nintendo and PlayStation, they don't seem to have that problem. Now, if they did, then again, there would be no point in even making the Switch because it wouldn't sell. It's selling because of what you know you can do on it. Yeah, the gimmick is very popular too. I mean, there was a gimmick for the Wii, which was motion control. The gimmick this time around is a hybrid portable console, which is very interesting. It is not to be taken lightly. But I've been a handheld gamer since the 90s, so it's not a surprise to me. I've played handhelds in many, many different ways. No. I've played handhelds on TV multiple times using PlayStation handhelds. But I like what Nintendo did. They thought outside the box, and they're giving people games that people would not even play on consoles because they're made on consoles. I respect what they're doing. They, in their time of need, when their backs were against the wall and the Wii U completely flopped, they tried harder than they ever did, and they made a successful console that nobody will ever forget. The Switch is going to go down in history as one of the best-selling hybrid consoles ever created. It's past 50 million already. It's probably on its mark to get to 100 million if it ever gets a price cut. I know I'd buy one if it's like $200.
If it's like $200, I'd probably get one just because it needs something on the way to like work and stuff like that. But the point is that the way that Xbox did that curried a lot of bad favor with people. The thing about the PS3 is that it didn't actively lie to you. It didn't actively get in your way. It didn't have a lot of bad faith with its players and stuff like that. If I remember correctly, the way that they made the... Sorry, Future Dune here. I had to go away at the middle of my sentence there, so you won't be able to hear the rest of what I was trying to say there. Stream of thought is already gone. I apologize. However, the situation is pretty good now. I had a lot of fun with this. I wouldn't recommend this for the faint of heart. However, if you have any queries, any questions, anything about my arguments or what I think about the situation, then please go ahead and just comment below. I'll write to them eventually. If you need any help with debates or try to set up some sort of debate, I will happily join on any side of the argument, because debates are fucking fun. But yeah. Do all the stuff you want to do. This is probably not going to be the first and last video of mine. It is the first video of mine, but it's not the last one, hopefully. I'm probably going to post stupid bullshit. Regardless, I hope you have a wonderful day, and goodbye.